I'm super jazzed about this call. No pun intended, because John's calling from New Orleans. But this is a follow-up call to a call we had is about 7 or 8 months ago. Is that right?
August.
About August?
Yeah.
Okay. A call that was haunting and heartbreaking. And we're going to link to the original call in the show notes. Fantastic. But then John's calling with an update. What's up, man?
Hey, Dr. John. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
We're surviving. We're doing good, all things considered.
Very cool, man. All right. So I've heard you've got an update call. So walk us through. Well, I'm going to do a quick recap and you tell me if I've got it or not. So
Right.
your daughter got sick. It looked like it was E. coli. And in short fashion, her system started shutting down, and the folks at the hospital pulled you in the side room that I've been in too many times and with families. And they said, hey, you've got some really hard decisions to make. And you guys decided, hey, we want to transfer out of this hospital and go get a second opinion. And they fought you on it, but eventually they let you do it. And they took you to another hospital, and they were like, hey, don't give up on this little girl yet. We think she's going to be okay. Is that a good summary?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty accurate there.
Okay.
Correct. And we transferred, to the Children's Hospital here in New Orleans, and our whole world got flipped back upside down again, but in a better way. And Scarlett started recovering. And I think when we spoke last time, I was on like day 38 of what ended up being a 75-day hospital stay.
Ooh,
and against all odds, this little girl who we were told would never walk, never talk, have very limited life capabilities if she survived, legitimately walked out the front door of the hospital.
Yeah, dude, that's incredible, man.
Carrying balloons, everyone clapping and cheering for her. It was, she made a lot of really, really smart people look dumb, and in the best way possible.
As kids usually do, right?
Oh my gosh. I mean, we're still living in it. We're living in a different reality now.
Oh yeah.
But
so what limitations does she have now?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What limitations does she have now? Or is she up and at 'em running around?
She's up and at it, running around. She has some hyper flexation of her left knee, and some. She postures with her left arm. She's on a feeding tube.
Okay.
We still have some stuff. She goes to about 45 different appointments a month between physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech, feeding, and seeing all the specialists. So she's a very busy little 2-year-old.
Are you seeing some progress?
Oh yeah. She's jumping off the couch and doing all the stuff a 2-year-old is supposed to do, and scaring us in all the normal ways now.
Good. Hope she scares you all to death. Not as bad as she did the first time, but the regular way, right? Good.
Correct.
Well, dude, you, like, as I told you last time, as the dad of a little girl, man, like you've lifted my spirits, and I'm really grateful that you called back. Is there anything I can help you with? Like, what's going on in your world now?
Oh, yeah. We had a fantastic support system while we were in the hospital, and we got home and everyone went back to their normal lives and routines. And, my wife and I, we found ourselves, living in a different reality that most people don't understand. And, now that we're 6-7 months out of being out of the hospital, we're trying to grieve and process and move forward in our new reality. And what it sounds like, we've been seeing some counselors, and what's been described is that me and my wife, we've landed in 2 different places in our grief and the handling of our new reality. So I'm looking for advice on how we can both work on ourselves, which has been painfully hard to do, so that we can get back to the same place, all while managing those 45 appointments, all the feeding issues, running a household, and equally as important, giving proper care and attention to her big sister.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a big one. I'm going to give you a really unconventional, probably not PC answer. Is that okay?
Go for it.
I'm almost positive that none of your therapists are going to give you this answer. And it's something I've just been over the last couple of years traveling the country, talking to people about trauma and about what, coming back from some of these things. And here's a couple of really important things. Number one, you got to get rid of the just get back to language. There is no just get back to. What was is completely gone. And so often we spend so much energy trying to get back to the way things were that, and you're experiencing this, and I'm trying to read between the lines here, but these kind of situations often break up couples simply because they grieve differently. And one person is like, how can you be moving on and laughing and carrying on? And the other person is like, how can you stay mired in this and continue to relive it and relive it? Am I on the right page?
Yes.
Okay. And eventually somebody says, I've got to go find joy in my life. And eventually somebody says, I've got to find somebody who understands the hell I'm in. And both of them end up, 1,000 miles apart from each other. And so, and even though they may be sharing the same bed, sitting on the same couch, right? And so have to get rid of any sort of comparison. Think of your old self as your neighbors. You got a different life, man. There's no benefit to comparing what was. The only thing, and this can actually be fun and exciting in a way to bring people together, is to decide, what are we going to build moving forward? What do we want this to look like? That's number one, is we have to decide we're going to build something new, not just get through the next month and the next month and the next month and try to get back to some semblance of normalcy. Normal's over. The second thing, and this is where people are going to disagree with me, and I don't care, I'm right, is I don't think that married couples, after the first, maybe a first couple of months of trauma healing, if a couple is going to make a go of creating a new life together, the healing has to be done together. So after the initial, here's how I'm processing this trauma, here's how I'm processing this trauma, and this is bringing up this stuff in my life, and this is bringing up my life, lack of control and all that. Great. You got to process these things alone. But the majority of the work, the bulk of the work has to be done teaching two people, okay, I know you feel like the world's coming to an end every time you open your eyes. It's not. So you have to choose to get up and do hard things like go for a walk and exercise and have sex again and watch funny movies again. And you over here who's just trying to run and be like, it's all going to be great and pretend this never happened, you've got to spend some time grieving on a regular basis. And that might look like journaling, and that might look like a weekly breakfast where you say the words, I'm really scared about, and you answer, right? And the goal is both people have to do hard things, creating a new tomorrow together. And I think the only way you can do that in y'all's situation is to do couples counseling with the intent of we're building something new together. We're letting the old thing go.
Okay.
Tell me how does that hit you?
It hits pretty close to home here.
Okay.
I think that's something that we're maybe just starting to do with the couples counseling.
Okay.
We're only a couple sessions in. I've been seeing therapists, which is a challenge, and she's trying to see therapists, which is also a challenge. But getting us together has been difficult. And
I would at this point, unless there's some psychiatric issues, meaning one of y'all's on meds now and one of y'all seeing a psychiatrist, like absent that, I would, if I'm in your shoes, and again, I'm talking to you now just as a dad of a little girl and a guy who's married, I would spend the bulk of my energy on how do me and my wife create something new together, and not spend all of these sessions like, well, he's not doing this and she keeps doing this. That's just not productive. It's just going to send you on a loop, right? And the more you stay on that loop, the more maybe your optimism and look how bright everything is, serves as a same defense mechanism that she might have, which is, this could happen again, this could happen again, this could happen again. And you end up going nowhere, right? You end up going nowhere. And so getting together and saying, okay, we're going to spend and maybe you tell your couples counselor, here's what our goals are. Our goals are to build something completely new, because everything we knew blew up. We almost lost our precious daughter. And now we don't trust the world we walk in. We are catastrophizing everything. one of us can't put the news down. One of us can't quit pretending that it's all going to be rosy and great. I'm tired of driving and I don't have anyone I can say those things to, right? So how do we build that relationship together moving forward? I would be real intentional with your therapist. And if your therapist says, well, we need to go back to, it may not be the right therapist for you right now.
All right. I'm trying to jot notes because we need to be very intentional here.
Here's what we'll do. I'm going to send you a raw link to this, an unedited link to this right after the show. We'll just send it to you. Okay. And it'll probably be a little bit different. Sarah and the editing team make me sound a lot better after the show than during the show. But that way you can have some of these notes that you can take into the counselor. And I'd also, if your wife is up for it, I think it's worth having this conversation with her.
Absolutely.
And I had it with my wife, and I've talked about on the show, where I told her, man, I just thought after you got pregnant, okay, 9 months, and then I get my wife back, my crazy fun wife. And then I realized after Hank was born, okay, maybe 9 more months, and then things go back to normal. And I never realized, things never go back to normal. Everything's different now. Everything's different. And then we had Josephine. Everything's different. We had all those miscarriages. Everything's different. We got a new job. Everything's different. And so the adventure of life now is not trying to hold on to what was, but it's creating a rhythm where we can create something new at the drop of a hat, because that's how the world works.
All right. And I feel like we're getting there. We're either extremely used to our new reality, or it's we've made a lot of progress with her, and we're starting to get to the point where I think that we're in a place where we might be able to try to build something new, like you're saying.
That's awesome. Can I tell you this? It's okay to be really annoyed by all the appointments.
It's a lot.
It's okay to be really pissed off at all those bills that start coming in. And it can be really mad when your daughter's jumping off a couch and it kind of pulls the feeding tube and then she cries and you've told her and you feel guilty for yelling at a kid that almost died. All that's okay. You're not a bad dad for being pissed off. You're not a bad dad for your wife coming home so exhausted because she went to 7 appointments today and you're trying to work a full-time job and be a dad to your other kid. And you're just exhausted and you're just mad at everybody. All that's okay, man.
Thank you.
Okay. And it's okay for her too. And here's a simple thing you can do with the other daughter, and then I'll let you go. It's as simple as, do you drive her to school? How does she get to school?
We live close enough. We walk.
Okay. It may be worth having a special day once a week where you just drive her and you get some cheap, cheesy breakfast somewhere. And she has it can be as little as 30 to 45 minutes a week. A very special check-in time with dad. And if mom's available, she can rotate, but here's my special moment. And another thing I would do is I would put a small spiral notebook, or take her out somewhere and let her buy a real fancy notebook, and you put it on her bed and you write notes back and forth to one another. And when she gets done writing a note, she puts it on your bed, and then you read it at night, and then you write back to her. But it will be your secret, private thing that nobody else gets to touch, nobody else gets to mess with, that sister can't ruin and screw everything up. It's just a special channel between dad and mom and their daughter. And it sounds very minute and very small. These are big, big things to a little 6 and 7-year-old.
That sounds amazing. And she's 6 years old. So
yeah, dude, she's right in it. Another thing is to always let her feel a part of things whenever possible. So say things like, what are some things we can do to help your sister today? Or to this baby of yours here at the house? And giving some ownership and responsibility, age appropriate, of course, can really add to, a young kid can walk really tall. And I've worked with special needs kids for my whole career, and I love seeing their brothers and sisters, because a lot of them are gangsters. Dude, they are gangsters, man, because they're used to, hey, you're going to give access to my brother. You're going to let my sister have the appropriate resources. And they become real great advocates. And it's a fine line, because you don't want them doing adult work. You don't want them responsible for their brother and sister. That's a burden they can't carry. But when they have a little bit of support and a little bit of, hey, you're in this too. This is your brother and sister, man, some kids will take that and run with it. And it's a great gift. But find those little moments where you can look that little girl, 6-year-old in the eye and say, "Oh, daddy still sees you too. Daddy sees you. And every day I thank God that I get to be your dad." Oh man, it's awesome. That gets me, that's one of my favorite things in the world. All right, brother John. Hey, call anytime. Keep us updated on how things are going. And I'd love to hear about how your marriage counseling works out when you come in with some notes to your therapist and say, "Hey, here's what we want to do. Here's where we want to go." Thank you so much for the call, my brother. I'm so grateful your daughter's doing awesome.